We live in a world that is literally addicted to productivity. As you said, you have all these journals, and then Ramadan comes, there's the other journals, and then there's the self-awareness journal, and then you see all these like TikTok reels, like they wake up, okay, I woke up in the morning. Now what? Okay. Now what? You go to the sunnah and see what, right? Like they tell you to wake up morning, and then what? Right? SubhanAllah. So you just need to know your deen, right? And there's never ending checklist that we have, right? To tick off, whether it's on our phones or our, our fridges or our calendars, right? And we've been groomed, subhanAllah, to believe that the busier we are and the more we do, the more successful and productive we are. But the problem is that being busy is not an indication of productivity or achieving meaningful results, but rather could lead to a false sense of accomplishment. I did this and this, okay, but what did you really achieve, right? And this is on the total opposite spectrum, right, of the core of our belief, which reinforces the idea or the ideology of quality over quantity. Quality, like I'd rather sit and do 10 salawat where I'm feeling what I am doing and understanding that I am saying Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad, and the angels are taking it, they're delivering it to the Prophet sallam, and then he's getting it and he's responding back to me, than me doing 1,000 and I'm like, like I'm just doing it, right? Quality over quantity. And the Prophet ﷺ used to make dua for baraka in time, not for more time, right? He used to say, Allahumma barik li ummati fi bukuriha. May Allah put barakah for my ummah in their early hours. So whatever it is that you do in the early morning. And I honestly, God, I was just talking with my friend about this. We find ourselves very busy from the minute we're up till the minute we go to sleep. We're so busy, but half the stuff we need to do is not done, right? And we're talking about how our parents, right? Because this is something also a lot of this generation doesn't kind of acknowledge, that our parents have been through so many experiments and experiences in life. We need to look up to them. When Allah tells us to obey our parents, to give them their haqq, they have lived life, and we kind of we want to rediscover the wheel from all over again, reinvent the wheel, as they say, right? But our parents lived, look how they lived. They lived very simple lives, right? And I think one of the issues that, kind of strips the barakah out is that we overcomplicate things for ourselves, right? We overcomplicate things for ourselves, and we believe that certain worldly gains is a guarantor for our happiness, which is totally not the truth, right? And we've become diseased by comfort. And I'm talking to myself before anybody, by the way. Like, cup of coffee has to be a certain, whatever, the special grind, I don't know, ultra skimmed, lactose free, I don't know, dairy, whatever. I mean, if you have allergies like me, I understand. But in general, you feel like there's so much that we have kind of fallen into trying to, gain that comfort. And we're not focused, like, what are we doing? Where's the barakah? Subhanallah, right? And we have to understand that if barakah is stripped out of our lives, we will literally be like that, that running hamster they have in the schools in that bowl, and he's just running and running and running and running, subhanallah, reaching nothing, without any avail, no sense of direction, and no sense of destination, right? But Allah tells us very clearly, like, how am I going to attain the barakah? Allah tells you, فَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا يُضِلُّ وَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى, right? وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Meaning what? Whoever follows my guidance will neither go astray in this life nor suffer in the next. You just follow Allah. But whoever turns away from my reminder or my remembrance will certainly have a miserable life. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, right? You could have, checked off every box off on your worldly gain happiness list, right? The house, the home, the bank account with the 6 or 7 or 8, whatever number digits, right? The spouse, the children, all of this. But if you strip the barakah, out of it, what happens? You hear about kids who are depressed, anxiety. There's always a sense of restlessness, right? You're always like, you can't sit still. You can't just be with yourself for a little bit. There's fear, there's anxiety, right? And subhanallah, it's like a clear forward equation. If you look at it, right? If you follow Allah, khalas, you're going to be fine. If you refrain from my dhikr, then you're going to start feeling all of this. It doesn't matter how much you have, you're not going to feel the ni'mah, the blessing of what you have, right? Subhanallah. And this brings me back again to our parents. They might not have had, a fraction of the luxuries we have and the comfort, but they were happy. Right? They were so much barakah in their lives. And the Prophet ﷺ says, right? لَيْسَ الْغِنَى عَنْ كَثْرَةَ الْعَرَضِ وَلَكِنَّ الْغِنَى غِنَى النَّفْسِ, right? Richness is not in the abundance of wealth, not how much you have. Rather, it is self-sufficiency, right? When you start realizing that your wants are not needs. I want this and I want that and I want that and the bigger house and the nicer car and the newer phone and this part. You want it, but actually it's not a need. You don't need it. You don't need it to be happy. You do not need it to be happy, subhanAllah. And then you start seeking the means through which you bring barakah into your life when you reach that, right? Barakah is not just about increase. Like, I don't like when they say in English, barakah is blessings. I think it really just does not do it justice. And that's why I think everybody needs to study Arabic. Like, everybody needs to get some sort of Arabic, because a lot of the words, subhanAllah, it really does not cover the meaning. Barakah, right, is not just increase and growth. It is not also, it's so many things combined together, right? Subhanallah. You think about it, could be barakah, could be in your health, it could be gratitude, right? You might have very little, but you are just beyond happy. And subhanallah, if I grew up in Africa, in Zimbabwe, right? And like 2 years ago, I was blessed to be able to go visit again. And I took my kids with me and I told them, one thing you're going to see there is people who live literally in squatters. Squatters are like the metal shacks. They have nothing. And they're the happiest people. They are nonstop laughing. They're just joyous people. And I was like, subhanallah, their level of gratitude is contagious. Like, you can't stop smiling, right? I don't know if it's the weather or what it is, the sun over there, but subhanallah, this is barakah. Barakah when you really have a sense of gratitude for what you have. Barakah could be in your health, right? Or in your time or in your life. And you hear about how many people in your life have you heard that had very short lives, or they died very young, but the impact they left is unheard of. That is barakah. Like, if you look at Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Mu'az, right? He was a Muslim for literally less than 5 years. And when he died, radiallahu anhu arda, the Sahaba said, we have never ever witnessed a janazah like this one. And the Prophet ﷺ says, because Allah sent down 70,000 of the angels that never tread the earth before just to attend his funeral. This is barakah, right? A life less than 5 years, but so much barakah in that short life. Or Imam al-Nawawi, who didn't even hit his 40s, right? And his books that inshallah will outlive all of us, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, right? And the amount of knowledge in them. Or Sibawayh, right? The father or the founder of Arabic grammar. And all of us right now, we're learning nahw and grammar and whatnot. He died in his 30s, right? Like, I'm way older than him. Like, he died in his 30s, subhanAllah. But the barakah Allah placed in his life, despite how short it was, right? And now that makes me think, like, how many of us are going to live to our 70s or our 80s or 90s or even 100? But the question is, how much barakah and how much impact will we have, right? Barakah in rizq or sustenance is way more important than the sustenance itself, right? Barakah in your life is more important than how long your life is. Barakah in the knowledge you try to attain is way more important than the knowledge itself, right? You could sit and study and whatever, but if there's no barakah in it, you might not reap any of it. You might know the book from cover to cover, but there's no barakah in it. Nobody's going to benefit from it. Subhanallah, right? Barakah in your kids, in your spouse is more important than actually having these people in your lives. Because if the barakah component is stripped from all the above, these blessings, which are all blessings, all of these things are beautiful blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they turn into a source of misery and tribulation, subhanallah, right? So we go back again always, our marja'iyah, we go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. What does Allah say about how do we get the barakah, right? Allah tells you in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 96, وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَى آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَكِنْ كَذَّبُوا فَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Had the people, right, of these, tribes or societies or nations, had they had iman, faith, right, and taqwa, mindfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would have overwhelmed them with blessings from the heaven and the sky, right? So it's a very simple equation. You have iman and taqwa equals barakah. No iman, no taqwa, no barakah. It's as simple as that, right?